Hey everybody, Coach Ross here. Again, bringing another video to discuss with you the spread offense that we run at my middle school. This is also geared towards helping any coaches that are interested in installing the spread offense with air raid principles into their offense to better help them gain an advantage on a defense. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the formations that I use. We use three basic formations in our offense. Now, we do have a few little formations that we add in as package plays that we'll go over, that I will talk about later in another video. But with our base offense, we typically use three main formations, and I'm going to talk about those here in this video and also cover some of the positions that we use and their locations in the formations and what we usually typically ask them to do in our offense as far as what position they're playing at. So the first formation we're going to cover here we call doubles. In the typical air raid fashion, they would call this the open formation. Okay, it's typically two receivers to the left, two receivers to the right, and a running back in the backfield. In the way we label our receivers in the doubles formations, we have X and H are always on the left side, Z and Y are always on the right side, and F, the running back, he's either he can line up on the right side or the left side. We have a word designated to tell him which side to line up on the formation. And sometimes we also move the running back around to put him even with the quarterback in certain things that we do with regards to the running game and some of the screen game too as well. In our offense, our two outside receivers, we ask them to learn both the X and the Y. So we find guys that fit that skill type, and we actually look for a certain body type. Our outside receivers are more of the tall, lengthier type guys that still have good speed, but are more taller receivers. And we usually have them. They are learning both positions, the X and the Y, because typically the X and Y, I mean, their routes and their responsibilities and their jobs are basically the same, just on opposite sides of the field. Our H is our hybrid player. We move this player around quite a bit. We throw him into jet motions. We sometimes motion him into the backfield and use him as a second running back. We just move this player around a lot. He's a typical slot guy. In this offense, I like to have the H as probably the fastest guy on the field, so that we can do a bunch of different things with him. For our offense, Z is another typical slot guy. We don't use him as much in the motions, but he's another slot guy, another fast, speedy guy. Some air raid offenses use that Z position as more of like a hands-down tight end. But you can do however you want. We choose to use him as another slot receiver. We don't use too many tight ends too much in our offense. But if we did, we would find a guy that we could replace who's more of that tight end type body, and we'd have him stay at the Z position and put him more on line as a tight end, or we can even use him as an H-back type player, which we've done in the past as well. Again, Y is another tall, faster receiver. And F is just the running back that we use. Again, we move that running back around in different spots. With regards to the doubles formation does not change. X and H are always on the left. Z and Y are always on the right. And the way we have it set up, we have X on the line of scrimmage and H is off the line of scrimmage. And on the other side of the ball, we have Z that's on the line of scrimmage and Y is off. And a lot of times we try and put H off because he's more of a faster receiver. So if they do try and put a defender up close to the line of scrimmage, it gives him a little bit easier of a release. The reason I have F back here offset like that is a lot of times I like to have that running back, especially if we're running inside zone, have more of a forward motion and more of a way to gain some momentum when they're receiving the handoff from the quarterback. So I like to have him a little bit offset and behind the quarterback. He's typically about 7 yards off the ball. The quarterback's about 5 yards off the ball. X receiver, his jobs, or mainly what he sees, is he's going to see a lot of three-step hitch routes or stick routes, we basically call it the same thing. He'll be running a lot of verticals. We also throw bubble screens out to him as well. Same goes for the Y. We'll throw bubbles. Typically what they see is the verticals and their three-step hitches. We use the H and the Z receivers a lot in our shallow cross game, where they're running the drags and the digs across and routes across the field. They're running the stick routes. They're also running the corner routes when we run corner. But that's what we'll get into at a later date. Again, like I said, H is a guy we move around quite a bit, though. He's probably our best athlete outside of the running back on the field. Is the guy that we try and put in the H position. We try and identify our best athlete outside of the running back to put in the H position, because we like to do multiple things with the H position, moving him into the backfield, sending him on jet motions, things like that. The Z and the H will also catch quick screens right out of the back, or right out of their stance too. So again, these types of guys are the guys we look for that are your typical slot type guys, the body types where they're not necessarily the tallest, but they are definitely one of the quickest and definitely one of the best athletes in the open field. Our next formation that we use is our trips formation. Now, in typical air raid fashion, trips right would be called early, and then trips left would be called late. This is where we just kind of modify it a little bit to help with our kids understand a little bit better, because we throw too many words at them and they kind of get confused. So we just kind of say trips right, trips left. Excuse me. But the trips don't change as far as the formation is concerned. If we have trips right, H and Z will always be the same way. They're lined up, whether it's trips left or right. So in other words, if we said trips left, then what would happen is H would be the most inside receiver, Z would be the middle receiver, and then X would move out wide. Now, the way we're working at trips right, we have the trips on one side, the outside receivers on the line of scrimmage. What we like to do is we like to bring that opposite backside receiver, and we like to condense him a little bit more into the formation, because it allows us to get more open space over here, because what it's going to do is it's going to draw that corner in, which then opens up a lot of the open field on the outside, and we like to take advantage of that. Again, with the running back, we can move him on either side of the formation, or other side of the quarterback, based on just a word we use in our play call. So we would call it formation, then we would use one word to signify what side of the quarterback we want the running back to be. And based on the play call, we'll also tell the running back whether he needs to be even or offset with the quarterback. Again, same thing here. Skill sets here, our typical slot receivers. So H and Z are going to be catching a lot of screen passes. They're going to be running concepts like the corner and the stick routes. And this is the only formation where we like to win our shallow cross game, where the backside receiver will get involved in the shallow cross with the inside receiver or the inside slot receiver. So this changes up a little bit during our play calling based on the formation. But for the most part, a lot of the concepts stay the same. And again, like I said, we will be covering that in another video here in the near future. So this is our second formation that we use. This one's called trips again. And our third one that we like to use, we just call it cluster. This is more of a condensed formation. Okay, so essentially X and Y are on the line of scrimmage, and they are about 2 or 3 yards off the tackles. Okay, and they are on the line of scrimmage, and they're in a wide receiver stance. H and Z, again, staying on the same sides, left and right. They are about, I would say, maybe 1 yard off the tackles, but they're obviously off the line. And again, they are in wide receiver stance as well. The reason we do this formation is it's a condensed formation, which then crowds the defense in, and eventually it allows us to take advantage of, again, the outside. And that's what we're trying to do with this kind of formation. We're trying to take the advantage of the outside of the field by condensing the defense in and creating a bunch of traffic here in the middle and using a lot of crossing routes. And we can run outside zone off of this. we can do a lot of different things to take advantage and attack the outside of the field. And that's why we try and move the defense a little bit with our condensed formation like you see here. So these are the formations that we like to use. Now, again, like I said, there are a few other formations that we use as far as package plays and different little motion package plays that we use that we install later on in the season. But our base offense is based out of these three formations right here. You see doubles, trips, and our cluster, what we call right here. So if there are any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Make sure that you subscribe if you are interested in learning more about these formations, or if there's anything that I can help you with, please feel free to ask, and don't forget to subscribe because there's plenty more videos coming. If you have any questions, again, like I said, put them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. Look forward to putting up the next video here soon. Until then, y'all take care, and I'll see you in the next one.